start with like a bit of introduction about ourselves and our research. Yep. So we're a group of 5, although there's only 3 of us here. RTLB, we're pretty young in our kind of RTLB journey. So I think probably like 3 years-ish in the job. And so a compulsory part of being an RTLB is that you complete your specialist teaching qualification, so the postgrad qualification. And so that's 2 years of study. So we're this in our kind of cluster, which goes from Tamaki Nui Aroa, which is like over towards Dannevirke Way, down to Paikakariki in the south. Yep. So that's our kind of cluster. Yep. So we're 5 second-year studiers, and part of that is we have to do a community-based project around some aspect of attendance and engagement.
Gotcha.
That could be very closely to that topic, or it could be anything that could impact on attendance and engagement. So we decided we were going to look at why are kids not attending school. Because like David Seymour in his address as the kind of Associate Minister of Education was like, we don't actually know. We need to find out why people don't value education. So even the people at the top don't actually know what's going on. They've got some action plans. This is how we're going to solve it, but they don't actually know what the problem is that they're trying to solve. And I guess we were like, okay, there are principals whose voice is being heard. We've got lots of politicians who their voice is being heard. You might have academic kind of people who are saying, oh, this is the problem. And they might have done lots of research on it, but what are the voices that aren't being heard? Who are the people who, on the ground, either working with students who didn't necessarily have a good run at education, or who are in our community who hear kind of feedback from whānau, feedback from students who didn't actually work for them. So ideally it would be hearing from them firsthand, but the kind of ethics around researching young people, vulnerable young people, makes that a drawn-out process, and we've actually got a tight time frame in which we're expected to complete our research. Yeah. So it's kind of like, okay, who might have heard those voices who can give us some feedback without it necessarily being first-hand.
Sure.
Yeah. So I guess that's our research. So our group of 5, we've got Rachel, she's in our Woodville office. And so then the 3 of us are in Pumps North office, and then Tina is down at Paraparaumu. So we're all working together, and we're getting voices from that community. So over the hill, and then kind of the Kapiti region, as well as us kind of here. So we've chosen a range of different agencies to get some voice. And I guess in our choice, there will be some people we didn't actually think of, and that will be part of our journey. Like, oh, I didn't think about them. Yeah. So you were one of our voices that, would have an interesting perspective on what's actually going on. Why is education or not necessarily working for some people, or why is it that they're not attending school regularly?
Sure.
Yeah. And I think you've got a varied experience.
Yeah, and quite a wide range of areas that you've worked with.
Yeah.
With young people. So I thought it'd be good to see what your thoughts, but also what the voices that have, the young people that you've worked with, what have they said to you?
Well, it's interesting because we've got a timeline context to this as well. So we've got a multi-agency experience sitting in my head from dealing with truancy as a community cop and all the psychosocial factors that are happening at home to speak to why the kids aren't going to school, which is why we're dealing with truants and the tagging. That's the first 2 things you look at in a city or anywhere you go to fix something, is you look at the truancy and you look at the tagging. And the list of your truants and the list of the people tagging will be almost identical. And then when you reverse engineer that back to every whānau and every whare, and you go into every whare and speak to every whānau, then you find out all those issues, which is what that program is about. It's only going to be behavioural, emotional, or psychosocial. It's only 3 things it can be. And so I built a filter and a lens to look through. So anything that we speak about, I just apply a particular lens to it. And that lens is that VIP of mental health. It's just how we design this lens to look at anything. Unless there's value in something, people aren't going to do it. And how do you assess if there's value or not? Is what is the identity of it, and what is its purpose? So the lens we're looking at right now is through the identity of school, and then a deeper identity is the education system, and then even deeper again, how are people learning? And then a deeper one again is what is learning? Is that just facilitating the process of sharing knowledge? Well, we're not going to do that on YouTube now. And so when you apply this lens, it becomes very clear what the issues are, which means you can design solutions based off the accurate problems. And what I see from a strategic point of view, the running Asia Pacific, yes, we have these strategies. We have, for someone in a portfolio to not know what's happening on the ground tells me it's a fail anyway. Like it's supposed to be built from the ground up. Now we have legislative requirements that come on the side, and we build things to that, but no one's going back into these legislative requirements, because if we look at the year of that legislation, it's out of date already. Any legislation pre-COVID is out of date.
Mm-hmm.
Any legislation post-COVID is out of date. Any legislation pre-AI is out of date. If legislation does not include AI or the COVID shutdown, anything, if you're not looking at the transfer of wealth, you're not looking at the changing industries, we have a country that has blockbuster video arguing about DVDs when we're already using iTunes. Mm. And so when we apply the lens, whatever we're speaking about today, I'll say back when I'm a community cop, it was this because these were the causative factors. But there's one thread all the way through. People. It's the psychosocial stuff. We're still dealing with generational trauma. We're still dealing with outdated thinking in regards to racism. We've got treaty stuff going on. We've got separation. Mm. But now we're a global lens that our kids are looking at, that our parents, our teachers are looking at. It's not just about, hey, I got to get the kids to school today. It's like everything that's on this phone. And then we've got to forward think past when we don't have internet again, because that'll happen. So these are things. So everything that we've designed up here has come based on, we feel, very accurate understanding what the actual problem is. Because the solution is always in the problems, right? And if you follow Peter Senge, or Peter Senge, SENGE, today's solutions are for yesterday's problems. Mm-hmm. So logic says today's solutions will become tomorrow's problems. So you're in this endless cycle that you have to roll with all the way through. Mm-hmm. But because the education system is a system, the time frame is very slow. And so it's very difficult to be agile or adaptable. And so it really only comes down to three things as far as we're concerned when you're providing services is, what is your competency? First and foremost, like, do you even have the skills to address this? Do you even know what this problem is? Because you can take someone from a higher level and put them in a classroom in Awapuni or Kawhuru or somewhere else, they're already out of date. So are you competent in teaching what you're teaching? I'm the only one in the South Pacific allowed to teach directed communication psychology. It's one modality that no one else in the country has access to that can tell me in 10 minutes how to teach this kid. But you think I can get that anywhere near the Ministry of Education? They don't even have the competency to understand the conversation. Mm. So I can't have the conversation. So if we don't have an equal understanding of intellect, you can't call it. It's like a university professor to a kindergarten kid about why we have to clean the glasses. So you spend more time trying to get the vocabulary right. So competency is first, and then it's capability. That's use all your resources, all that sort of stuff. And the next one after that is just, what's your capacity? How big can you do it? So we'll stay very select on focusing on leaders and influencers and people that actually affect the outcome. They can't just don't waste my time. We'll just build it ourselves, as you know. But in answering a lot of your questions, I'll be able to give you some timeline stamps so that say, okay, well, pre-COVID, this is the thinking. Yeah. Post-COVID, this is the thinking. AI, we built AI Marae. I built AI Whale, AI Nuku. We're the only ones in the world doing this, that are mixing culture and AI. It is impossible right now to jump on any AI system, put in Māori or Pacific Islander, and not get a physically strong, righteous male warrior and a wahine toa with dignity who love and protect their kids and their family. So we'll just dirty the algorithm with the truth. And so that whole conversation, that whole narrative, every single person that's thinking about school is exposed to everything before they even get to school. And then when we talk about money, going to school makes 0 sense if you want to make money in the economic conversation. So you cannot sell that you need to go to school to get an education to get money. Because no one wants a job now. So education pillar has just been kicked psychosocially. An employee, no one wants to be an employee. You're going to lose all our tradies soon. Because no one wants a job. They want to be a TikTok millionaire or a YouTube millionaire. These kids don't want to do that. They want to be gangsters with their own labels. All our gangsters now have their own music studios, got their own clothing line. They're all making money. They don't have to go to school. And so real life experience as of yesterday, a 12-year-old that is not at school, that's on our program. It doesn't need to be at school if you're trying to sell the value of education, job, money. But our kids have to be at school to learn how to be human beings. And that's why everything's turning badly outside of school. It's because they're not bumping into each other on the rugby field. Mm. And they're not learning to deal with getting dropped by your girlfriend and people talking about you in an environment where school, that's your adolescent years where you learn how to do that in a safe environment and get the skills to do that. They bump into each other down the street here, they're shooting at each other tonight. Mm. And so it's critical that our kids are at school. Critical, 100% champion our kids need to be at school, but not for the reasons we're trying to sell them, because you can't sell it to them like that anymore.
I think you've just highlighted the complexity of the challenge, I would say, in terms of people are making decisions based on one assumption, and rather than the multitude of all the different things that make up an impact on our kids today. Tuatahi, I'm Dion. Ko taku he tini atu ki a koe. Nau I whakawāti a koe anō te noho tahi ki tā mātai taha. He tino hono re tēnei. Mā mātou, te noho tahi ki tō taha, me o pukenga katoa. Heuri tēnei no te taitoke rā. No hoki anga tōku pāpa, no whangaro tōku māma, no reira no ngā tai e rua o te taitoke rā. Tai wahine mā, tai tāne mā. He maha ngā pānga o te ao mātauranga me ki te iwi o te kāinga. Maha. He rawe ki au te whakarongo ki a koe me o whakaro. Hoi anō te mea nui ki au I whakawātia I a koe anō te kōrero tahi ki a mātou. So me tika ana kia mihi atu ki a koe. So I just want to thank you for making yourself available. You have a wealth of experience and a vision that is disruptive. It needs to be disruptive in such an environment where education continues to try and follow an industrial model and not cater to the needs of our kids and the importance of building relationships. I just want to thank you for opening the doors, being open to talk about what may be possible ways forward and what you have seen in your wealth of experience. So just wanted to acknowledge that in there. I'm from the far north. Yeah, Ngāpuhi Nui tonu hard. But I just wanted to acknowledge your Samoan roots, all your whakapapa that has brought you here today, all those that are behind you and beside you that are supporting you. So just thank you for that.
Hey, welcome.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing your ideas.
I love Complex. Complex is fun. That program there was, I went on school camp as a parent, and you get the class list of all the kids, you know, all your groups, and then next to all these kids are all these little asterisks. So what are they? Oh, these are our extra grace required kids. And I went, the naughty kids? Oh, we're not allowed to call them naughty. They're on supervision. I'm like, why are we using prison terms at school? Then I started looking deeper, and I said, just give them all to me. We had a blast. We had a blast. And then on a bus ride back, one of the teachers said, hey, you reckon you could bring your program into our school? Piece of cake. He goes, what would you call it? I said, I'm going to call it the Asterix program. I want to transmute that energy, right? So it makes no sense to break a negative cycle. So everyone's talking about breaking a cycle and generational trauma. It's a powerful cycle. Steal the power. Change the shape and make it spin in a different direction. You have to generate the power again, right? And so all we did was every single level, behavioral, emotional, or social, broke down into 8 components. They're the same 8 components. Human beings are the same human beings. It doesn't matter. Te Whare Tapawhā gave us an awesome baseline model that we are fundamentally all the same at base, but it's how you arrange it. That's all. And one of the live examples I love is when you've got a social group of kids, you know, we have sleepovers at each other's house, and if you've got an Indian whānau, you go there and they've got their ways of doing things and their food tastes this way. You stay at a Māori house or a Pākehā house or Asian house, we're exposed to different cultures that way, but we're all the same even though we're different. And so what we've always said, because we're disruptive in that we don't move. And it sounds really interesting, but our ethos, where the vision always starts by the vision's always there first, is in crisis leadership. You have to be the rock in the river. The rock doesn't change. The river's always going to change shape and direction. It's going to flood. It's going to drought. It's going to be cracked. It's going to come down. It's going to pick the easiest path. But us as leaders have to be that rock. That all that stuff goes around. It's can't do this. We can't do that. Like, throw anything you want in that river at us, and we'll just hold our space. That river will go around us. And then we decide the shape of the river. And what's happening now is people are trying to get in there and shape the river and point it where they want to point it. You know, like the river's going to go where the river's going to go. And if enough of us become those rocks at those certain places, then people can get out of that river onto that rock for when they need it. Build their waka if they want to build their waka with us, or jump on ours and go to the next rock. And that whole Hawaii mindset, and we can run parallel between Garden of Eden, 12 tribes of Israel, to all of our waka, to Hawaii, to everything else. We have a treasure trove of solutions in all of our cultural kite. The difference being, and you talk about being from the far north, that's the spiritual gateway into Aotearoa. This is the treasure trove. New Zealand's the Garden of Eden for all this. That's why the rest of the world is coming down here. And that's our biggest fear at the moment, is the global side of things. I was born and raised in Singapore, born and raised in Asia. There's a way things work. Everyone gets on because everyone acknowledges their strengths and weaknesses. There's no welfare. So you have to be good at what you do. You don't eat. You can't hide and lie and be fake over there because you just don't eat, which is why competency is always first for us. But once you get here, it's Palmerston and North to start to look like every other city around the world. You know, we can't have that. You know, we've got to keep our identity in New Zealand. You must respect tangata whenua. Have to. You know, like there's no treaty debate that you can win against me on pure logic on any of this stuff. And it's funny because I get to go to all those rallies. My Māori side starts throwing stones at me when I go to Julian Bachelor's meetings, and then when I go to Māori stuff, then they're like, I'm just used to being in all of those rooms where if you are that rock and you stick what you want this to be, like if we say this in education, here's a filter and a lens that every single kid in New Zealand can go through, and it'll tell you straight away. That's their coloured brain type. That tells you exactly how they learn. And this is an extension of all that kinesthetic audio stuff, right? Directed communication psychology says there's only 4 brain processes that human beings can have. In the New Zealand education system, or Western education, English is factory line, red brain, assembly line for building parts for machinery for the war, right? Green brain, which is a chaotic brain processor, can only learn while that brain is in motion. These kids must be moving. It is impossible biologically, not psychologically, it's impossible biologically to learn sitting still. But if they don't sit still in a red brain environment, they get a label on their forehead that says ADHD because they can't concentrate. No, they can't concentrate sitting still. They're not designed that way. You put all of those kids in an experiential education system, they'll kick everyone else's butt, which is why Scandinavia is kicking everyone else's butt. 4-hour school day, no homework, 3 days school week, all experiential. The difference with New Zealand, we have all the perfect components here. We've got all the elements. Asians love New Zealand because all the elements are on show here. You know, we've got earth, we've got water, we've got fire, we flip that to a tikanga model, we've got tangaro, we've got everything's here. But no one's working off a vision. There's no positive vision. Even though you get the whakapapa when you walk in here, it's the vision that we show people first. This is what Palmy will look like once this is complete. So part of the assessment process is, what do we want this to look like when it's the way it's supposed to be? Then have this conversation, and then you find that gap in the middle and what needs to happen in between. And that's that river. And if you're just a rock at those points, then people can get there. You know. So I have no concerns that we won't get there, because we own our stuff. We're going to get there. We'll be all right. Yeah. And then we'll spread that out to all the other chiefs. And this place was designed for all the chiefs to sit around the table. What's happening up there? What do you need over there? What are you seeing over there? Oh, we've got a massive drug issue in Northland at the moment because we've got low employment. Well, employment is no longer synonymous with income. So let's find a different way to utilise income that doesn't require that type of employment. And the other thing psychosocially is our kids are so fast on these things now, they have no stamina. They're sprint thinkers. Give them a task, give them a time frame, let them sprint, complete it, give them a rest. They've got to sprint, rest. We can't. 40 minutes is too long now. A goldfish has a longer attention span than a human being at the moment because of the psychological programming we're doing with the scrolling, which that is psychologically designed to do those things, right? And can't buy it. We know that, so we use that. You know, we utilise that for what we need. But the other thing that's missing is boundaries. And so we're starting an over 60s group up here. My dad's 72. He's running that. And we had a 60-year-old gangster come up last night because he misses his grandparents. He got brought up by his grandparents, and our kids don't have access to our old people anymore. To actually sit down and go, Papa, how did that work in your day? You know, you had those big, thick, what were they, phone books? Yeah. At some point, our kids are going to go, you had a steel cage with wheels and you pushed that around a warehouse and put food in it. Like, why would you do that? And so, like I say, all the pieces are here. So I answer all your questions. Massive respect to what you do. And you know, I love and respect teachers. But yeah, that's my little blurb, and I'll be nice and concise for your answers.
All right.
Shocking, I know.
No, that's good. Great intro there.
Yeah.
So I guess our first question is, do you think that attendance is a problem within our community?
If we come back to the front door answer, yes. If they're supposed to be attending and they're not, that's an issue. If it's the corridor second part of that answer, is there any value in what they do when they get there? Is it a problem if they don't go? No. Not a problem if they don't attend if there's no value at the other end of the corridor. If there's value at the other end of the corridor, then not attending at the front door, yeah, it's a problem. So if there's value at the other end, then I think it's a massive issue with not attending. But if you're telling them that they need an education to get a job, to get income, it's only a problem if you want them at school.
What do you think, or what's your opinion on the main reasons why?
We need them there. Attendance is a problem because we need them there, but while they're there, we have to be doing different things so they see the value in being there. So the main value for our kids being at school right now is that parents can concentrate on what they're supposed to be doing. Sadly, parents aren't sending their kids to school because they're expecting them to get an education and get a high-paying job. They're out of the house and hopefully learning some stuff while they're at work trying to pay the bloody bills, which is the other end of the conversation. Right? It's really tough out there. If I answer all of these questions like school is the place these kids need to go, I'll agree with all your problems. If school's not where our kids need to go to get what they need, I'll disagree with all of your questions. And so I can even do the school by school in the city. I can say for that school, attendance is a massive issue because that is an awesome school. For that school, No wonder they're not going there. They've got a bullying culture, teachers that burns out. Half those teachers are dickheads anyway, excuse my language. And they're having fights and filming, and that's the culture on the school field. They're going to post it online and go do ram raids and ashes tonight. I can tell you what school that is, and so can you. So is attendance an issue there? No, I wouldn't send my kid there either. It's safer at home.
Yeah.
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 And I guess from our point of view, we don't want pat answers. Like, that's not our purpose.
No.
We don't want you to just tell us what you think we want to hear.
No.
Like, it's about what do you actually think and
see and hear that is not being given out there with the information.
Yeah.
Because the information out there is what everyone wants to hear. But is it the truth? And is it actually reality? That's what we're trying to find out, I guess.
Yeah.
We can't have an opinion, but...
and I'll give you both versions of that. So I can say, here's stocks there that people are thinking, but this is what we're finding. Because the people that are reading the research and listening up, they're like, okay, they'll get context. Like Winchester, my favourite school in the city. There's a chick in the front row, a kapahaka in a hijab. And girls high, the winner of the te reo competition was Afghani. That's awesome. You know? And people send their kids to school if that's what the parents want the outcome to be. And so it's interesting. It's like when we talk about Māori or Samoan. There is no Māori or Samoan. It's hapu by hapu, iwi by iwi, hapu and whenua relationship, then it's iwi, then it's all the rest of it. You know, so you can't just say Māori and you can't just say school and you can't just say education. So public perception of what the education system is you've got to follow that curriculum. Would be our understanding of what is the New Zealand education system. You've got to follow this outdated curriculum taught by people that have been in the system that their own training hasn't been updated.
Yeah.
You know, so when's the last time all the teachers were just pulled in and gone, all right then, we're not using blackboards anymore, we're using iPads. We're not using iPads anymore. We can't let them cheat on ChatGPT. Train them how to use ChatGPT so they can do research faster.
Well, and how many teachers out there don't even know what that is?
Exactly right. Exactly right. So, so is attendance a problem in schools? I'm sure it is for the schools. But is attendance a problem as far as I'm concerned? It's a problem if it's at those schools that are providing value. It's not a problem for those schools that aren't.
Yeah.
You have to do a school-by-school assessment and a teacher-by-teacher assessment.
Yes.
Run by me. He's not scared of anyone. Okay, so the problem that we have is you're a moron. You should not be teaching this job and poisoning these young minds because your life is a failure and your husband left you for the secretary. So you should probably not be a teacher at the school and you should probably move on. Hey, just some live examples.
Yeah.
Hey, these are all your opinions.
Right.
So
that's
we've
good.
looked at it. We've
Yeah.
looked at it from a school point of view.
Yes.
Is it an issue for our schools, and we need to look at it individually?
Yep.
We need to from a community point of view.
From a community point of view, when you understand the causative factors of why that kid's not at school, it is a massive issue. Because if I bring a school into mind, a school sits inside a community, we know that inside that community, we know where our rough streets are, we know that where the other lower decile and socioeconomic families are in those communities. And the schools are really generally good. If this particular kid is not at school today, that's because they know what mum and dad's doing at night. And so older siblings stuck at home looking after the kids because mum and dad aren't even at home. And so a lot of schools have seen that from the attendance side. So when you're looking at the causative factor of why they're not attending and then accessing the community side and addressing it, it is massively important. So on the straight school front door, so the kids be coming, it's not really a big deal unless there's value on the other side. From a community perspective, understanding why they're not attending, critically important. So when I was a community cop and I got that truancy list, I was going around because I knew all the families. And that's why I can turn up and go, all right, this kid's probably not there. What day is it today? It's Friday. Yeah, got their money on Thursday. They ain't coming back. We'll see them Sunday. You know, so there's no way these kids are going to be at school on Friday. And that sucks because there's supposed to be a rugby game or some other game on Saturday and mum and dad are still fried somewhere. And so when we go around to the house, then we've got to access everything else. And so the schools generally know that. And I'll be fair, in Palmerston North, the care factor of the school itself or what happens in the community is very high. But no one's just wanting to turn a blind eye. If there's a lack of results or change on that, it'll be because they've probably tried everything or they're disillusioned or they just run out of resources or help. You know, so I don't think there's an actual motive or desire to not try and help. So short answer to that one, community-wise, yes. Because when you know why the kids aren't attending and you know those families, you can address that as a community. If it's Kai, then we sort Kai out. If it's transport was the other one, we had walking buses was one of the solutions where a couple of teachers would walk around Crew Cres, for example. They'd walk around Crew Cres from Winchester and pick all the kids up and walk them to school, you know, and give them a Kai when they got to school. And addressing the issues why they weren't attending from a community perspective does strengthen the community for sure. Yeah, but safety's become an issue on that one now with meth. It's just the one X factor in our city at the moment is anyone under the influence of methamphetamine is so dangerous because it's 96% synthetic. And so even the gangsters know if somebody's fried. It's just too dangerous for the kids. But again, with all the work that I do with gangs in the city, all the gangsters want to try and keep things safe for the kids.
Yeah.
And so there's a massive opportunity right now because we've got so many more kids now, so many more young teens now, because we just had this massive spurt of all these 4 and 6-year-olds all now 12, and all of our 14 and 16-year-olds are all now 18 and 20. So we've got bang, 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 3 quick jumps of population into young people used in this all in one space at the moment in this environment. So it's a massive dump of energy in this education sector, in this community sector. Wouldn't have had that 5 years ago, wouldn't have had that, definitely wouldn't have had this 10 years ago. The numbers are massive, but the numbers of teachers haven't increased and our resources haven't increased either. More people, more kids. How big a classroom size has got over the last 10 years. Oh, you should be helping that kid out. I got 31 kids in my class, dude, and if that kid's a little punk, then I need him out to help the other 30 kids. I would love to help that kid, but I've got to be responsible for these other 30 kids.
So the young people that you work with that are not attending school or are irregularly attending school, what are they telling you, the reasons?
Three. It's always the same 3 reasons. One, they want to go, don't see the point, no value in it at all. Because they can get everything they want as a young person outside of school. And get all their connection, get everything else that they want. They don't even want to go to school, right? So they don't want to go to school because they don't see the value in it. The second reason is they're actually too embarrassed to go to school because I've missed out so much. They're so far behind, they feel stupid. And so a lot of the solutions for that, was it Ross? I think Ross has got a classroom there run by an awesome dude that helps those kids that are sort of in and out to sort of keep them up to speed, because no kid wants to be embarrassed in class, right? And some of my kids are flipping geniuses. And then so outside of school, they can't be a genius because they get too much flack. They actually love being at school. And so there's that flip side. One of our main offenders in the middle of the city in that last serious assault, I had them all up here. I pulled him aside and had a really good chat with him. And once he figured out our fucker-pupper, he was sweet as with us. I said, but you can't be staunch up here. My brother's on the wall. You're not going to scare anyone up here. So I just had a bit of a cordial with him. He's from Foxton. Doesn't go to school. Saw all the stuff we did up here. So can I come up here and do some affiliate marketing with you? I'm like, you know how to do that? He's like, yeah, bro. Got my own laptop and everything. And one of the other guys goes, bro, he's a math genius, just follow. Why aren't you at school? It's too slow. It's too slow. Why would you be locked into a curriculum for 12 months? We can do it up here in 2 weeks. It's too slow for a lot of our high achieving kids. So and we saw this with our sportsmen, right? We saw our awesome sportsmen coming through school that are really, really smart. You're bored. It's too slow. And so the teachers can't run as fast as some of these kids. I'm struggling to keep up with how fast some of these kids are. I got outgunned by a 12-year-old up here, teaching them social media marketing. I said, he's $100, bro. If you finish these tasks online, I said, I'll keep him busy for 3 or 4 days, 40 minutes. I can't do it in 40 minutes. He said, how did you do that? $100. Because there was an incentive. There's a value at the other end.
Bribery, corruption works.
It was a bribery or threats, right? And so, why didn't you do that before? Well, because it wasn't $100 on the table. He just ghosted around for a week, just coming and going and doing boxing and enjoying himself. $100. Yeah, I need $100. What do I have to do? This, and this. And he already deconstructed that in his head while he was looking. And the third reason is stuff going on at home. And that stuff going on at home. And there's a million answers to stuff going on at home. Everything from drugs to safety to freezing cold and everyone's still under flipping 12 tiger blankets because there's no heating. All the psychosocial answers is the third reason. The first one's no value. And the second one is, they don't want to be embarrassed or it's too slow. And then the last one is stuff going on at home.
So that would be the answer for what they would say. Do you have a different approach? Like, is that how you see that's the 3, my version or their version are the same, or would it be different?
Only one gap in between that, the excuses. Because if I give you the solutions to all those excuses you gave me and they're null and void, would those things then happen? Oh, there's no value in it. Well, if you go to school for this week, I'll give you $500 if you top the class. If you're telling me you don't want to go to school, there's no value in it, you're out here doing ram raids because you need $500 for that PlayStation. You do this week at school, you complete that project, I'll pay you $500 cash, bro. If he then doesn't do it, then that excuse will cucker. All right? So what's the next one? Are you embarrassed to go there, bro, because you've done or what? Well, you think you are? Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, cool. Come up here for a week. Bring the whole family up here. I'll feed everyone for a week and I'll get you up to speed with a tutor. I know I don't do that. Okay, so that excuse will cucker too, eh? What's going on at home? Oh, I'd rather be at home with my girlfriend. Now we're talking, right? Nothing to do with those two. And so, I'm just really strict on assessments and not just taking people's answers for it. But once I get that evidence, if there's no value in it of what they're telling me, and argue with the financial value, we sit here and watch ram raid videos on YouTube and they turn and go, bro, I can make $1,000 doing that tonight. Why would I come here for a week, give me $20 to do in the back of me when I could do that? I said, you win that argument on the finances. He's like, yep, but staunch Māori fella. So what part of ram raids is Te Ao Māori, bro? Robbing old people. Show me. Different value system now, bro. You're going to stand up on the marae and have this argument? No. So now different value systems at VIP Triangle, right? And I can show you an actual physical design on how we redesign this kid's identity step by step in an infographic away from Mungo Mob across into here. And it's all going in that direction. And I'll be at his 13th birthday at 5:30 tonight.
So, in your opinion, what are the reasons that students attend school apart from you've got no choice? What do you think are the good bits that come out of being at school?
Well, there's freedom, right? Because when you're at home, you got to follow the rules, right? Like my daughter just turned 14, all right? So she's basically a cat that hisses at me when I walk in the room now. My son's still a puppy that wants cuddles, and my daughter's just like, get off me, get away from there, like she's just like. So she gets freedom. As soon as she's out of the house, she ain't going to follow my rules anymore. Right? She gets to roll with her friends and do all the things that she's probably not allowed to do at home and talk to her friends. That said, there's the freedom first. There's freedom from the house. And when we say freedom from the house, there's also, hey, there might be more kai at school. You know, your social circle could be at school, your crew's at school. Every kid needs a crew, whether they're out here ram raiding doing, it's a crew. Yeah. You need that social thing. So one of the main reasons is they want to. There's something of value to go to school for. And so the schools that are really clever at this, they create those social environments at school where they're going to go and hang out anyway. It just happens to be at school. So all our sporties are sweet as. You know, now a lot of our intellectuals and our literary kids have got libraries to hang out with. There's a place for kids at school now where people want to go and hang out, except for, you know, we have that, I don't know if we do have it, but there was the advanced class. And there's a place where the advanced kids could go and hang out. Yeah, for that address, if it was too slow for kids, now the gifted kids could go there. But we've still got that stigma around the extra grace required, the naughty kids sort of stuff, where I reframe it to the entrepreneur mindset. I said, you guys can't learn in the school system. And the reason why you're such good criminals is because your mindset is about finding gaps. That is so valuable in this system over here, brothers. And we're talking $100,000 a month. We're talking $1 million a month. You guys could be accessing this model. But no one's going to hire someone if they can't trust them. So that's what you're ruining for yourself. I agree that you can't learn in that school system. But if you could do the normal school stuff there to make sure that's locked down, and then you came here to learn this bit, then this bit could be at the school. And so this charter school concept, is weird wording, is basically an open school because the old education system was the knowledge is contained here, the teacher is the facilitator of the knowledge. That's the old system, right? Now, that information is available to everyone. The teacher is no longer required in that role of teaching and facilitating the information. But if the teacher's role changed to mentor and coaching, but that means the teacher has to be at the standard, and that's the clash that we're finding now. Like, I can sit there and talk about affiliate marketing and ChatGPT and AI with any 12-year-old kid in the city. Parents don't know how to do it, and most of the teachers don't. And can't apply. That's just the training needs analysis and the gap analysis and what we need to train our teachers in. Come up to the line again, we'll teach you how to do it, 4-hour workshop. Senior proposal office. And then you'll be away. Like the solution is always there. There we go. So there's a freedom from home. Every teenager wants to get out of the bloody house away from their parents. They can do what they want to do, right? There's the crew connection, the social connection. Some of our kids, you know, those, whether it's mental health, whether it's education, there is only one factor. And no one can argue with this across any modality, culture, timeline. There is only one factor that will decide the success or failure of someone trying to move through a process and get to where they want to go. And that is purely the relationship between the person going through the process and the person taking through the process. So my favorite subjects at school were human biology and English. Why? Because flipping Mr. Richard Gaskin at Upper Hutt College on human biology, everyone thought was the most boring dude in the world, and I was fascinated. I could sit here like this and just listen to this guy talk, and I could just see every cell of them. I was just fascinated by this guy. And the English teacher, the first time she asked me to write a 500-word essay, I'm like, why? I could answer that question in 10 seconds. And she's like, all right then, you can answer this question. It was on Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and why was there a clash between Mozart and Salieri? Write a 500-word essay. I'm like, bugger that. Because I can't articulate that in writing. So I just did a speech and said, all right, listen, so you got this dude Salieri that likes, you know, writing music. And so he prays to God and he devotes himself to music, and he's celibate and he just figures all fleshly stuff. So his relationship with God is to write this music. And this little shit turns up. He's partying and he's drinking. He writes Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star when he's 5. He's an absolute nightmare of a human being. And you, God, have gifted him with what I'm trying to sacrifice for. He loves this kid, loves Mozart's gift, hates God, so he starts trying to slay Mozart. And so I'm just telling the class this, and like, Dad, you know, I can't write that. Did I answer that okay?
Yeah,
Yes,
totally.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and they love the teachers. And then they can get what they want, right? Teachers have saved so many of our kids just because the kids want to hang with that teacher.
Mm-hmm. What do you think would improve student attendance? You've kind of covered it. But yeah.
Have the students involved in designing it. We did this for every organisation. It's just like, I remember being up there with Watercare in Auckland. Like, so how would you design a conducive training environment here? For who? For that group of people over there. One moment. Hey guys, what would you like this design to be that you would want to come over? Blah, 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 blah. Write down what they're saying. Put that guy in charge of it. Get the students involved.
Yeah.
Let them design it. And then the management principle is you let them design the box and make them sit in it. You design it. Get them there and do it.
So what effective strategies, supports or services do you know that have helped with getting students to attend school?
I would honestly say that every school in the city has done something well somewhere to get a kid back. And that starts with that relationship with the whānau, right? From that teacher and that kid having a relationship. I've got a boy from Boys High working with that particular family. And it was Liz Gray, because she's an ex-cop, her husband's an ex-cop, we're all cops together. So this massive network of, hey, I've got this kid, that teacher loves that kid, that whānau loves that teacher, so everyone starts working together to get this kid back. So I think every school knows what to do. It's really just time and capacity, because if you had the resources and the time, I think every school would figure out a way to get that kid back. We just don't have that space, and that's why all these other agencies sort of popped up in the middle instead of probably investing more in the actual school and the teachers. They didn't need us. If you had to put enough time and resources into the teachers in that school, they know exactly what they know. Those kids better than anybody else. It's like all these kids up at YJ. The people that have the closest relationship with those kids have zero input into their plan. You said to the kid, who do you trust most up here? Oh, Fire, such and such. Fire, come here, sit down. You two work out a plan on how this is going to work when you go home. Oh no, then shush you get up. No, you're flipping hopeless.
Yeah, you're not allowed to be part of that process.
Yeah, get out of there. Yeah, let them design it.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be support after that. So I think every school does it well. I'm a massive fan of Horizons, because when you go there, it is an environment that the kids have created for themselves, and they flow their own timetable. Sprinter learners, give them their tasks and their time frame, leave them alone. Throw food at them in the middle, and then support them when they break up or do whatever and that normal teenage stuff. Another thing that we forget is outside of kids going through stuff, your normal teenager is a nightmare human being anyway. Like when there's nothing going on. Like we all were. For everybody. That's just, we forget that these teens go through this stuff and we've got to do something. Don't. That's life. Every teen's like that. Every kid's going to rebel. Everyone's going to try some stuff. We just try and put as much safety around us so they don't get hurt or hurt someone else, and we pray and hope for the best. That's where our grey hairs come from. But that's normal life. We're so quick to jump on everything and stop the learning cycle. You let the learning cycle continue. Like you see a kid about to walk and touch that hot pan, you're like, hey buddy, I told you that pan's hot, right? Yeah, if you touch your neck yourself, can't bite, crack on. Let them learn. And then just be there to pick it up. And don't say I told you so. Okay, cool. Are you okay now? Cool. What did you learn? Oh, that's hot. Probably shouldn't touch it. Sweet as. Or even worse, you tell them 100 times, they don't listen, and then their mate who you've just met 5 minutes ago goes, bro, don't touch it, it's hot. Oh, thanks, bro, good, cool. Seriously? Seriously? Yeah, I put you in your mother, she cooked you for 9 months, you've been alive for 14 years, and like 5 seconds, now you listen? Normal teenagers, let's not forget about the normal teenager factor. It's not a massive thing all the time.
Anything else that you would like to add to the idea of, I guess, around attendance? But you probably answered pretty much most things that are going to help us, but anything else that you think would add?
You got to put together a pilot program for the Manawatu. All the solution pieces are here. The Manawatu is the only place in this country we have every single psychosocial, behavioural, emotional, industrial dynamic in one place. Everything is here. We've got the military camp, we've got teachers' college, we've got every ethnic culture here, we've got enough land space, office space, kai, whenua, we've got everything we need right here in a small space that we could run a pilot program based at a school in each level and put a combined program together. You put every single alternative educator around the same table and you design it, because we've all done it ourselves for our own companies. But to do it for the city, you need everyone connecting all these bits to pieces. If you took my Asterisk program and linked the Horizons program, put it across their entrepreneur program, they got this amazing kai flippin' program down in Shannon. So I met this group down in Shannon. They take their kids through school and they go into the paddock and they learn about horticulture and agriculture, and they kill the cow and they gut the cow and they cut it all up and they do butchery, like all the pieces that sit in here in the Manawatu. There's no collective vision and there's no leadership. So after vision, you need leadership. So no one's leading this. And those that are technically leading, they got no idea what's going on. They're just responsible for that portfolio. So the leader is the person at the front, the commander is the person at the back, and the management's in the middle. But with our Western mindset of organisational charts, the CEO's at the top, but he's the furthest at the back. So this military model starts here. Leaders at the front, commander at the back, and then corporate took it and went like that. And our whakapapa is exactly the same. It's from all the way there, but then it goes like that. All our tupuna behind us. We're at the front end, but we look backwards into the future, right? I can never remember how to say it. That's my favourite whakatauki, right? We always walk backwards into the future. Never take our eyes off where we come from. Because life's a sickle. And now we're smack bang in the middle of, how do we do this? Put the village back together.
Don't you think that requires members of the village to allow themselves to be vulnerable and say we need help?
Right.
That's one of the barriers?
It depends on the circumstance. So vulnerable leadership is the dumbest thing in the world in crisis. In crisis, you need crisis leadership. You need strength at the front to put everyone behind them for what they're scared of. Behind that next level down, that's when that conversation is happening, being vulnerable and going, you know what? We suck at this. I don't know how to use technology or this, that, and the other. But I tell you what, just because you know how to use technology and AI and all the rest of it, you don't know all that other stuff. And so when we saw that, and when we did this in corporate, as corporate consultants, when technology overtook leadership's ability to lead the new technology, we didn't train these guys. We grabbed these guys and we trained these guys and these guys how to interact. He's still leading because he's older. He knows how this all works. He tasked this guy, said, make this happen. So that was a waste of time. The vulnerable leadership was a touchy-feely thing that came out when there was no crisis.
So what I mean by vulnerability is those that are protecting school reputation.
Yeah. Oh, closing ranks.
Yeah.
That's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Different question.
Right, what you're talking about is a unified vision.
Yeah.
How do you break down that door, that barrier that actually exists in Manawatu? From what I see, that there's schools protecting reputation instead of focusing on what could be the possible next steps and way forward.
Yeah. Use the river.
Quera, but who's the Pukutu Moana?
Yeah. So for that particular school and that leadership and all that whole reason why they're protecting all this stuff that's going on here, so no one else finds out about it because they're getting all the money and they've got all this reputation. They've got a massive, and once upon a time, awesome reputation, and now not so much. You use the river to do all that stuff around them so they then become isolated. You can't go straight into them, right? Now, I could drop a grenade right in there and pop in there, and but it just makes a mess, right? And so what you do is you do all the positive river stuff around the outside with everything else, and that river will gain momentum. That'll make them jump. They'll leave before it then comes in here. So over here we're talking about attendance, insurance. We're going to do all this stuff and alternative stuff, and we're going to put the Line Academies, our Bulletproof Vest program in these schools, and then the Particular One program in these schools. And because we know in some schools this, and this is happening as we get closer and closer and closer, you watch them go out the back door and out the way before we even get there. And if they're still there when we get to their front door, they'll have no choice because now they've got to align with everything else. Because when you reverse engineer who's controlling, then you go back through their whakapapa tree and go to their networks and you start mucking around over here, it'll get back that way. And by the time you turn up, they'll either be gone or they'll be suddenly very receptive.
But it's a huge change that actually has to come from country as a whole, hasn't it?
Yeah, well,
because I disagree.
Oh, you don't think?
The fastest way is from the inside out. So if we've got a school where that's happening, because social media can touch anybody.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. So if I'm dealing with something I know is happening at a particular school, this fight culture at the moment, this fight, bullying, filming on a film fights, all that sort of stuff, it carries. We've seen this all before. Yeah. But the difference now, it wasn't catching a bus in Newtown at Rongotai College to have a rumble at lunchtime and get back before the next period, which was always happening. Now it's carloads of people turning up and the stakes are high, but the components are the same. Yeah, and so the same solutions will work if you just update them. It's like delivery mechanisms now, social media. They're filming it, putting stuff on social media. So we do this stuff, and now, hey man. So righteous warriors do that. Cowards, we never fight anyone that we can beat. That's our rule. That's a righteous warrior's rule. We only fight to protect our family. I'll get a hiding if there's no other stakes apart from me getting a hiding. Get hiding if I know I can beat that other person. So you use that from the inside out. This whole nationwide thing, divide and conquer works both ways. It works both ways. So our country is just getting divided and conquered. It's like we're getting. All you have to do is create separation and division, and then you just got to demonize one side, and then you've got control, right? And so you can't do a unified strategy of putting that all back together. What you do is they've already divided and conquered us. They've done half the job for us. So I'm sitting there like, Kaupai, so once it's all split up, Māori over there and Samoan over there and European over there. And
I think I was more meaning like to make the changes we have to go and do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Meaning, I'll build my own school and I'll create it with how I see that it would, all those aspects that would improve attendance, and then it will catch on, as opposed to nothing's going to change from the top.
We already do it. They're called private schools.
Ooh.
Like there's a great model up in Hamilton of Puku High, where they have used international research. They start school later for the kids. They design the program with the kids. The teachers, it is a true embodiment of ako, where the teachers absolutely know nothing about what the kids want to learn, and they go on the journey with the kids.
Yeah.
And that's engaged them. They don't have attendance and engagement problems.
What school is that one?
Te Kōpuku High.
And there's also another one, Hobsonville.
Yeah.
It's very, very similar.
So the reason I say private school, I could start a Line Academy charter school now, but I could do a Line Academy school, and this is what we're going to teach our kids to be. By the end of this school year, they'll all own their own businesses and be making $100,000 a year.
Do you think that kid would turn up if they knew that was the outcome? Do you think they'd go to school?
Yeah, what the parents would come to.
Of course they would.
They come here, and then what we do when we do that assessment is we're looking for all the same coloured brains as we're going through. So we're doing assessment. It's like recruiting for companies, right? You do okay. So this person loves being outside, all that sort of stuff. Green brain thinking, all the rest of it. He's not going to be the kid who's going to design online sales funnels. He's the guy who's going to actually physically build all our villages and our tiny homes and all our horticulture and everything else. But here's where you sneak up on them, because we learn this in the military. You're going to be awesome at that. You're going to be awesome at that. Yeah, right now. You teach him, and you teach him. Oh, it's hard teaching now, you know. And then, teach once, learn twice. So we can design it. But what we don't want to happen is we could do that, and we'd be the best school in the country, and everyone else would be awesome. But the majority of people get burnt out by that system. Yeah. The only way that changes, again, is leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. If someone with the capacity at the highest level goes, right, this is not working, I want to pilot in each of the main areas, I want you all to sit down yourself, do this research in every centre, and go, right, so 1 or 2, we want the Line Academy, Horizons, and anyone else that's got a piece of this. I want you guys to put a pilot program together we all utilise. And so that campus model of universities was fantastic when universities had value. Universities don't have any value anymore, because who cares what you wrote on a bit of paper with 3 letters after your name? Because it has no value financially, because that's where everyone is at the moment, but massive value and wisdom and understanding where stuff comes from, right? But the university campus model was you could go to those different campuses to get what you needed, and that was the beauty of all of our tribal stuff. Because, hey, listen, if I want to learn how to fish, I go to that iwi because they're the masters. Tuna was down here, it was all in the lagoon. The spring was in the middle of here. The kumara flipping growers were there. And then if you utilise that model, then away we go, But someone has to start it. But for mainstream, it's going to come down to leadership. And there's no one with an education portfolio in our government right now that has got any idea of how to do any of this stuff. And I've seen this 100 times. Give us the research. At the end of the day, if you don't care, nothing will change. You've got to care first. If there's no hard fact, they don't care. Like, I could solve youth suicide in this country. The country could solve youth suicide in 3 years if they wanted to, but they don't want to. Unless someone cares, unless someone has a vision, and unless there's leadership and there's a combined strategy, nothing will change. So we just go and be the change that we want to see in the world. Oh, I've got to quote it.
Awesome.